Okay, I finished the first episode. So, and it's fine, Like, yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, it's fine. Stuff happens. It's good. Well, I was enjoying it, and yeah, like, stuff happens, and okay, so I'm watching the English version, not the Toonami one. Again, that's the kind I watch, but I stopped after, like, episode 5 or 6 when I was a kid. I've tried watching, maybe I watched the Japanese version, and maybe I watched the English version. Anyway, this time I'm just watching the English version, but the kind where it's like not the censored kind, obviously. Um, all right, so yeah, that's cool. Like the theme song, like that main theme song, "We Are," like it's translated into English on Crunchyroll. That's really cool. I gotta say though, that 4 Kids dub opening theme, that is still in my head, and that is like that kicks. Okay, and you can't diss that. It's like, for some reason they gave like animes like rap songs and stuff, and it's like, yeah, because they're awesome. And a LADY Nami's not shy. Oops, I was doing that marksman thing. Sanji's cooking. Chopper's doctoring. Gotta go. That was cool. It's kind of like the Dragon Ball Z thing where it's like dragon, rock the dragon. You know, uh, anyway, I don't mind the opening theme because I'm skipping it anyway. Anyway, so it's cool. I'm enjoying it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's like I remember Elvira. That's how you say that, the pirate lady. And then there's Kobe, and Nami shows up. Nami's actually the first main character you see, and everything's good, and I'm enjoying it. And then Luffy shows up, and I was like, oh right, I forgot how much I hate this guy, which is kind of a problem since he's the main character, and it's like yeah. Look, Luffy is clearly a mentally handicapped sociopath. I don't know. I mean, again, I know they like explain his backstory sometime later, like stuff with like his brother. It's really slowly like again, I got to like wherever the Water 7 arc ended, and I was like still not really sure of his backstory other than he has his brother and all that. But yeah, like I don't know, unless they did talk about it and I missed it. But no, see, like that's the thing is that I guess it'll happen later. What the Dressrosa arc is around what episode 700, right? It takes a while for like stuff to happen, and so it's like really just watching like action sequences and like, all right, so this episode, the first one is like Luffy appears out of the barrel and with his Luffy personality, whatever, and Kobe's there, and this little thing about like Luffy's gonna be king of the pirates. Again, I'm not. Anyway, so I guess we'll figure. And it's like, oh, I guess we'll figure that out later. Way later, why he wants to be king of the pirates. I mean, it's because it's his dream and whatever, and that's kind of the way the show works. Um, I don't know. Again, it's just comparing it to like Dragon Ball Z because it's obviously what inspired it, and it's like Goku's got an excuse for like his behavior and not knowing how anything works. He grew up in the middle of nowhere in the mountains with just his grandpa, and even then, I don't know how long after his grandpa's death Goku was by himself, but he lived out in the middle of nowhere by himself. So like he's got an excuse for like not knowing how anything works and acting like he doesn't know how anything works. I don't know what Luffy's deal is. He grew up around other people, right? What is his deal? I don't know. And maybe I'm just thinking way too much about this. Okay, I guess I'll like stop thinking so much about this. Stuff happens in this anime. Again, Kobe like learns to stand up for himself, and there's a fight between Luffy and Elvira, and Luffy's like got the Gum Gum power. Gosh, this show is like so weird. Does no one talk about like how like I don't know the author's making stuff. I don't know the Gum Gum fruit, the Devil's fruit, and all that. And it's like okay, there's Devil's fruit, and just I always wondered like okay, so when those two pirates like attacked Luffy, and it doesn't show what happens, it just shows their swords break. I was like, well, what happened there? did Luffy just stand there, or did he do something? If so, like, it wouldn't make sense for like their swords to break off of rubber. That doesn't really make sense. Anyway, the fights are fine. Again, is this for kids? Is this for little kids? Because it's like, I know, like, in Japan, like, adults, like, anime is like not like distinguished between like little kids and adults. And kind of like nowadays where it's, but like, again, is this for little kids or what? Just like the way it goes. I don't know. Like, I don't know in Japan if, like, again, Jujutsu Kaisen, if like they let like little 5-year-olds watch that show. Or and if again, if like 70-year-olds are like watching One Piece and stuff, so it must be entertaining, right? People are like into One Piece, so it's like it's not aimed at little kids, right? It's clearly got to be like any age. So that's just why I'm like, okay, all right, like, but there's, I don't know, it's just like it's mostly battle anime, fight sequences. That's the whole climax where Luffy kind of fights the whole pirate crew. I forget what they're called and stuff. But okay, I do like how it's a continuous story so far. I mean, I'm only one episode in, but I remember it goes that way. It's like, okay, they're like, Luffy's like, oh hey, we heard about that dude Zoro. I kind of want to call him Zolo. That was another thing in like the 4 Kids dubber, where it's like, Zolo sounds cool too. I mean, I don't know if the author called him Zoro on purpose for the connection, but yeah. So anyway, it's fine. Obviously I don't dislike it, other than I guess I'd like dislike Luffy less if I knew his backstory, but I know we don't get to that for a long, long, long time. Well, we kind of get to it, I know, in a few episodes, but really? Anyway, all right. I'm trying not to think ahead of stuff I already know. So, based on the first episode, it's fine. It's good. You know, it's short, stuff happens. Like, wow, I crammed a lot of stuff into that first episode, and I get how it would hold your attention. Like, it's like clearly I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to see what happens in the next episode. Yeah.